Hey everyone, this is Ryan and Derek from Badgerland Birding, and it is officially March, and you know what that means. Migration Madness is back, and as usual, we are doing some birding challenges to get everybody who watches our videos out and about looking for some cool birds and getting excited for this change in the seasons.
Yeah, we've done some cool things in the past. So we wanted to start off with kind of our traditional three species challenge. Now, this is where we have three different birds that we want you to find within the particular month. And if you do, then you can get entered to win some cool stuff. So we're going to go through those three birds. In March, April, and May, we'll have different challenges for the month. That'll be fun. And we also have some Migration Madness gear you can check out on our store, which we'll link in the bio as well. So let's kind of get into this challenge for March here. The reason we do this is to get everybody involved kind of in the community, give you guys something fun to do, especially as we get excited for the spring. So the rules of this challenge are that you have from March 1st at 12 a.m. until March 31st at midnight to find all three species that we're going to list here. So you can hear them or see them, and we're doing it on the honor system. So you can also travel to wherever you want. So if you want to go outside your region, that's totally cool. And it needs to be seen in person. So no cage species, no zoo species, no species seen on TV. This year we're trying something different. We used to have you guys comment, and that just took forever to go through and gather who submitted, who didn't, who completed the challenge or not. So now we're going to do it in a Google form. So in the description of this video, you can click on that Google form, then you can submit your sightings, and you have to do that before March 31st in order to enter the big drawing that we'll do at the end. And if you do that, then you'll be entered in to win prizes at the end of Migration Madness. We normally do like mugs, t-shirts, just some cool different merch. And then we know there's also some other birding channels that like to do this challenge, so feel free to make your own video, tag us in those videos, tag us on social media, and we'll try to compile a Migration Madness playlist of some sort to kind of feature all those challenge videos. So let's get to the challenge. This is generally for those in the United States. We try to pick species that you can see anywhere, but it's hard to please everybody. So it might be a little more difficult, a little more easy for some of you. And we also are going to do a Europe version, and then we'll kind of get to the thing if you don't live in either of those regions at the end. So first of all, let's start off with the good old United States of America. So species number one, it's actually going to consist of two species of geese. You can see either one. They are migratory and they both have a blue morph, which is a pretty big hint.
Yeah, you ready to reveal that bird?
The big reveal. Let's reveal that bird. The snow goose or the Ross's goose.
Nice little comparison picture there. You're gonna like that.
Yeah, so in the front, you have the Ross's goose with a shorter, stubbier bill, and then you actually have a blue morph snow goose in the back. So the white morphs, they don't have any of that really brownish. They say blue, but it's more like just dark color. And then in the back, the blue morph snow goose has kind of that brownish. So both actually come in a blue morph. Ross is much more rare, but if you find either one of these species, that counts for one for this challenge. Let's move on to species number two.
All right. Species number two is a type of duck, but it does not actually have the word duck in its name. It is a very adorable species of bird, and it will be in mixed flocks with other species of ducks.
The big reveal, species number two, the
Bufflehead.
bufflehead. So we have a male bufflehead on top. They're very small ducks. Have that characteristic black head with kind of the triangle of white in the back, and then the female has more of that white line under the eye. So definitely a very cute duck to find out in the field, and one of the smaller ones that you can get.
Yep. Sometimes hanging around in winter. A lot of times they come in spring in greater numbers. So cool species. You ready for number three?
Let's do it. So this is a hawk species. You can see it's very abundant.
Looks like it took over the entire country.
For real. And North Canada too.
It invaded Canada.
Seen near highways, and they have many different color morphs. So this can be a tricky species to identify correctly depending on where you are because of those different color morphs. But we wanted kind of something pretty common that everybody could find or has probably seen something, a little different than kind of the geese and ducks. So for number three, we have the majestic red-tailed hawk.
Very beautiful. Yeah, these do come in a lot of color morphs. You can see the dark morph, which looks drastically different, which is pretty cool. There's also the Kreider's variation, which is extremely pale. So really actually cool and probably underappreciated bird that, like Derek said, you see in open landscapes along the freeway a lot. So they're definitely out there.
Yeah, and at least by us, one of the ways you can identify them is they have these, a lot of times they'll have brown band, a brown band of feathers on their chest that we refer to as a belly band, like birders refer to it. So that's a good ID feature for the red-tailed hawk, at least in our area. All right, next up, we're not going as in depth for Europe. And I know people in Europe will say a lot of these aren't necessarily migratory species, but the goal is just to get you guys out birding and looking for different things. So we did our best to include Europe. Of course, we're not super familiar with Europe or the species that are kind of everywhere, but we did our best to at least give you guys some kind of challenge. So for Europe, we have the common kingfisher, the Eurasian curlew, and the common buzzard. So those are our three species for Europe. I thought it was kind of a fun combination. Should take you to a couple different places to see those birds.
Oh, very cool.
And then a little rules recap. So you have from March 1st until March 31st at midnight on the honor system. Need to see the birds in person, but you can see or hear them. Fill out the Google form in the comments, or I guess it's in the description, but I'll put it in the comments too, before March 31st. So see those species, fill out that form, and then you'll be entered into the drawing at the end. And then, of course, feel free to make your own videos.
Post on social media too. So if you have an Instagram or anything like that, let as many people know as possible. We'd love to get as many people out there looking for these birds and having some fun this March.
Yeah, it's always great to connect with everybody. We like kind of the seeing what you guys find and what you create from these challenges. So we're excited to do more of this stuff, and we'll have different things for March, April, and May. So this is kind of just the kickoff of it, and there's a lot to be excited about. So a recap of the species. For US, we have snow Ross's goose, the bufflehead, and the red-tailed hawk. And then for Europe, we have the common kingfisher, Eurasian curlew, and common buzzard. So if you're not in Europe or the US, or you don't have any of these species occurring, leave a comment. We'll do our best to pick a couple species for you guys to find so that we can get more people involved. And you can email us questions at badgerlandbirding@gmail.com. So thanks so much for taking part in this year's Migration Madness.